Good afternoon. Name is Acting Deputy Ray Robitaille, spelled Robitaille. Have a brief statement that I'm going to read first. I am going to be limited to what the questions I can answer in terms of the investigations as it's now before the courts. A nearly 2-year investigation into the conduct of both current and retired members of the Calgary Police Service has culminated in a number of charges. 3 officers, 1 former officer of the service, 1 former civilian member of the service, and 1 citizen were charged on Wednesday, June 15th, 2016. In August 2014, a woman came forward with allegations of harassment by a group of individuals she believed had been hired by her ex-common-law husband. The investigation by the Calgary Police Service Anti-Corruption Unit revealed that her ex had hired a man who in turn hired a number of individuals to follow her and report back her activity to the ex. The man who was initially hired by the ex is a retired member of the CPS and conducted security work after he left the service. Investigators believe he, in conjunction with his wife, who is a former civilian member of the CPS, engaged the services of 3 current members of the Calgary Police Service who unlawfully followed, watched, and harassed the victim. In addition, the members allegedly accessed police databases to gain private information about the victim to assist in their actions. The Director of Law Enforcement was notified of the investigation on Monday, April 6, 2015, and directed the Calgary Police Service to continue the investigation. The file was sent to the Alberta Special Prosecutions Branch in Edmonton on Monday, February 8, 2016, for review. As a result of the investigation, the following people have been charged. Kenneth Robert Carter, 65, has been charged with criminal harassment and perjury. Carter is the ex-common-law husband of the victim. Stephen Charles Walton, 59, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery of officers, improper storage of a firearm, and perjury. He was a sworn member of the Calgary Police Service from 1978 to 2003. Heather Naomi Walton, 53, wife of Stephen Walton, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and improper storage of a firearm. She was employed as a civilian employee of the CPS between 1990 and 2003. Anthony John Braille, 47, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and unauthorized use of a computer. Braille is a 21-year member of the Calgary Police Service who was dismissed from the service earlier this year in relation to an unrelated matter and remains relieved from duty without pay. Brian Allen Morton, 32, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. Morton is a 9-year member of the Calgary Police Service. Morton was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12th, 2015, and his suspension status is currently under review. Bradford Robert McNish, 58, is charged with bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. McNish is a 14-year member of the Calgary Police Service. McNish was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12, 2015. His suspension status is currently under review. Professional Standards Section investigation will proceed upon the conclusion of the criminal process. That is the media statement, and I'll open it up for questions.
We're still missing 2 officers' names in the documents. Are you planning on laying charges against them as well?
The charges that I have read are the only charges that are planned at this time.
Is there a reason why you're leaving other members out?
I don't know what you're referring to, so you have to be more specific.
So in the complaint
Yeah.
that was put in by the victim, there were 2 other members' names that you have not named in this list.
Right.
Are they not being included in this investigation whatsoever anymore? Are we to assume that their names are cleared?
So by the timeline that I've outlined to you, this was a complex investigations. Dozens of production orders, search warrants were executed, and the evidence to support charges only pertain to the individuals that I have told you today.
just what's your own reaction to this whole? This involves current members, former members, obviously, not a very good look for CPS. I mean, what's your reaction to this whole development?
Well, there's zero tolerance for this type of behavior in the Calgary Police Service, in law enforcement, period. And it's going to disappoint not just myself, any serving member in uniform. And in terms of today, these individuals have been brought before the Justice of the Peace. Those charges have been laid, and those allegations will now be proven in court.
For the two members whose suspension status are currently under review, they were suspended with pay, Morton and McNish. When will the decision be made as to whether they will continue to be suspended with pay or without pay?
I don't have a firm date for that, but I expect that within the next month that will be solidified.
And can you comment on whether you expect it will be still with or without pay?
I can't comment on that.
Can you comment on the bail hearing?
In what sense?
Well, the ones ongoing today that, you know, the outcome, they're not being held in custody or...
That's correct. They've all been released with conditions to attend court in the future. I don't have that date, and conditions not to contact the victim.
And were they charged today?
They were.
All of them?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Were they processed in Calgary or Edmonton or elsewhere?
They were processed in Calgary, and the Edmonton prosecutor flew down to do the bail hearing.
I just want to be clear, these are all criminal charges, none under the Police Act.
That's correct. Yes.
Is any information as to what kind of information was accessed through your databases by these officers?
I don't have details as to the specific. There were hundreds of inquiries into our databases, and all of it would relate to the victim and information that would lead them to be able to conduct surveillance or any other type of activities on her.
Who monitors an officer's use of a computer in this way, and why would it take a considerable amount of time to notice that there's flags like this, unauthorized searches, things like that?
Well, our databases are accessed hundreds of times a day, and they are always monitored, and we do directed audits on those systems on an ongoing basis. In this case here, I think it's really important to look at the breach of trust charge and what that brings about. There is an element of trust that our officers are doing their job, and in the vast majority of those audits, and when I say the vast majority, you're talking in the 99 percentile, they're doing it in the execution of their duties. It's when conduct are such, like the ones that I've just described, that we're able to gather that information and bring them before the courts.
I guess what's the warning to people who want to use a private investigation firm, because we're now charging one of the clients in this case? Is there any legalities around that, or how do you know when not to cross the line if you're hiring a private firm?
You're asking for a member of the public in terms of to...
Because now he's been charged, right? So where's the line, I guess, in your guys' opinion?
Well, the line is the law, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of this case, but if you take the approach of you're going to win at all costs, you're probably crossing the line. The facts should speak for themselves, and they should be obtained independently without coercion.
And I guess the other thing is too, allegedly some of these officers made hundreds of thousands of dollars extra on the side. What's going to happen to that money?
Yeah, I don't have information as to the amount, but that's going to be something that will be dealt with through the court system and ultimately through sentencing.
How do you think this affects public perception of CPS, and what would you say to people that have doubts now about the legitimacy? Right.
Okay, that's a great question, and ultimately there's two sides of this coin, right? And there's the one where what are you hiding? And I can tell you that every police officer shares that same concern as the public do. And I think this also, so on the other side of that coin, is that it shows that our anti-corruption unit is working. And they are part of the Calgary Police Service. They've done a thorough investigation, and they've gathered a significant amount of evidence that I'm confident that these will make their way through court in a successful manner.
Rob, what about, I'm just curious about, what about officers in the force who are also, like, these are some veteran members. I mean, these are members that have been with the force for a very long time. I'm just curious, what's the reaction been from, I mean, I'm sure this has been a huge conversation within the force. I mean, what's been the reaction of members who have had absolutely no involvement and are, is it shock, is it anger? I mean, what are the emotions like for members within the force?
Well, it's too early to go and say, so I'm going to have to sort of refer back to other incidents in the past that it's a sense of betrayal that officers feel. They uphold the public's trust at the highest level, and whenever that's eroded, it feels personal. And I can tell you that there are about 1,500 calls that are going to be answered today. 850 of them we're going to have officers attending, and each one of them go out there to do their very best. And that betrayal runs deep.
Is the service contemplating any policy changes or procedural changes when it comes to how often those audits are done or how the database access is monitored in the future?
So the database is monitored all the time. And so you cannot access that database without leaving a fingerprint. In terms of our policies, you'll find that to work, so outside business interest policy was breached here. Our IT policy was clearly breached here. So the policies are tight. What we had is people who chose to disobey those policies and cross beyond what I would call the ability to even decide to make that into unlawful activity. And as such, the process is that they will go before the courts and answer for that.
Did you say that there were hundreds of unauthorized inquiries?
That's correct.
All relating to the one case, or were there other cases?
That's correct.
Just the one case?
Correct.
And the wife was a former civilian member of the force?
The victim you're talking about?
The, Heather or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the accused.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the 5 accused.
Okay, any other questions?
Just, there's no reason for us to be at APU, is there? I mean, if people have been charged, there have been bail hearings, and they're not being held anywhere.
No, they're not being held, and I believe all have been released at that time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.